Welcome to Cold Trail Crime. The clock is ticking toward a date that has been circled in red on the calendars of every seeker of justice in the city of Chicago. April 1st. For most, it is a day of pranks and lightheartedness, but for the family of Romeca Meeks-Blackmon and the thousands of supporters wearing pink in her honor, it is a day of reckoning. We are standing on the precipice of a massive shift in the legal battle that began on that tragic September morning outside a South Loop school. As the countdown to this high-stakes hearing hits its final hours, the tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. This is not just another procedural date. It is the moment where the shadow of the secret society meets the cold, hard reality of the courtroom. If you are here because you believe that justice for Romeca means accountability for everyone involved, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the Cold Trail community right now. We are tracking every motion, every witness, and every legal loophole to ensure this story never goes cold. The April 1st hearing is set to be a crossroads for the prosecution. As we look at the board, the primary question is not just about what Quadajah, Holly, Johnson did, but what the state has uncovered during this intensive discovery phase. Legal experts are predicting that this hearing will revolve around the common design rule. For months, the public has been screaming for the arrest of Carlos Smith, citing witness accounts of a chokehold and a celebratory fist bump. On April 1st, we expect to see the first real glimpse of the digital footprint, the text messages, the call logs, and the GPS data that could bridge the gap between a domestic dispute and a coordinated execution. Was there a prearranged signal? Was the school drop-off chosen because it was a kill zone, where Romeca would be distracted by her child's safety? These are the questions the state's attorney will have to hint at if they intend to bring further indictments. But there is a darker layer to this countdown. The defense for Holly Johnson has been remarkably quiet, leading many to believe they are preparing a self-defense bombshell. They've pointed to the U-turn Romeca made and the alleged aggressive approach she took toward their vehicle. On April 1st, the defense is expected to push for the release of full surveillance footage, hoping to paint Romeca as the aggressor. However, the prosecution has a countermove that has been brewing in the background, a move that focuses on the paper trail trap. We've talked about those unserved restraining orders before, but on April 1st, we expect to hear whether the court will allow evidence of premeditated legal shielding. If the state can prove Holly Johnson filed those orders specifically to create a stand-your-ground defense for a murder she already planned, her self-defense claim will crumble before the trial even begins. As we count down the minutes to this hearing, the energy on the streets of Chicago is shifting. This is not just a local story anymore. It is a litmus test for the accountability law. If Carlos Smith walks into that courtroom on April 1st as a free man and walks out the same way, the outcry will be deafening. But there is a reason the wheels of justice turn slowly. The state is building a bulletproof case. They know that if they miss on Carlos now, they lose him forever. This hearing is the discovery reveal, and it leads us directly into a maneuver so calculated and so specific that it has changed the entire trajectory of the investigation. While everyone was looking at the shooters and the witnesses, the prosecution was looking at something far more clinical, something that exists in the silent records of a hospital ward. This brings us to the most pivotal development of the last 48 hours, a move that has sent shockwaves through the defense teams of both Holly Johnson and the currently uncharged Carlos Smith. The court has officially signed off on a qualified protective order, or a QPO, specifically targeting the medical records of Romeca Meeks-Blackmon from Stroger Hospital. At first glance, you might wonder why the prosecution needs medical records for a woman whose cause of death was clearly multiple gunshot wounds. The answer is chilling, and it's the key to why Carlos Smith might finally find himself in handcuffs. You see, the gunshot wounds tell us how Romeca died, but the medical records tell us how she lived in her final seconds. The prosecution isn't just looking for the path of a bullet. They are looking for the invisible injuries, the bruising, the soft tissue damage to the neck, and the specific marks of manual strangulation. Why is this so dangerous for the defense? Because multiple witnesses claim that Carlos Smith had Romeca in a chokehold or a headlock while the shots were being fired. If the medical examiner's detailed report, now accessible under this new order, shows distinct bruising patterns consistent with a man of Carlos's stature, the mere presence defense is dead. It transforms Carlos from a bystander into a physical participant who immobilized a mother so she could be executed. This QPO is the prosecution's way of letting the science speak where witnesses might be intimidated. It creates a curious situation. If the medical records confirm a struggle, the state can argue that the murder was a two-person task. One to hold, one to hit. It dismantles the self-defense narrative entirely because you cannot claim you were in fear for your life while someone else is physically dominating the person you are shooting. The curiosity deepens when you realize the timing of this order. Why now? Why just days before the April 1st hearing? It suggests that the state has already seen enough in the preliminary autopsy to know that a deeper dive into the Stroger Hospital records will yield gold. They are looking for concurrent intent. If Carlos was holding her while Holly reached for the gun and he didn't let go, he was consenting to the final act. This medical record breakdown is the smoking gun that doesn't use gunpowder. It uses forensics to prove a conspiracy. As we approach the April 1st countdown, these records are the silent witness that Carlos Smith can't argue with, can't intimidate, and can't run from. The trail is no longer cold. It is burning white-hot, and the medical files from Stroger Hospital might be the final piece of the puzzle that turns a secret society theory into a first-degree murder conviction for everyone involved. Share this video with someone who is waiting for the April 1st update, and comment "Justice for Romeca" below to show the algorithm we are still here. How do you think the defense will react to these medical records being unsealed? But the medical records are only one half of the pincer move the state is preparing for the April 1st hearing. To understand the true depth of the cold trail, we have to look at the digital footprint that was left behind in the weeks, and even minutes, following Romeca's final breath. While the prosecution is busy with subpoenas for Stroger Hospital, the FBI's digital forensics team is reportedly scrubbing the social media archives of everyone involved. This is where the secret society theory moves from a rumor to a technical reality. On April 1st, we expect to see the first mention of geofencing data. Did Quadajah Johnson and Carlos Smith's phones ping together at a different location an hour before the shooting? Was there a third or fourth person in a group chat giving them the green light once Romeca pulled into that school zone? If you're finding this deep dive into the digital evidence eye-opening, this is the moment to hit that subscribe button. At Cold Trail Crime, we don't just read the headlines. We analyze the forensic strategies that put criminals behind bars. Join our community of justice seekers by subscribing right now so you never miss the breaking news from the April 1st courtroom. Beyond the phones, there is the chilling social media defiance that has fueled the public's rage. Carlos Smith has not been silent. He has used his platforms to craft a narrative of a peacekeeper. But true crime analysts are looking at the leakage in his videos, the small, unconscious slips of the tongue that suggest more knowledge than he's admitting.
They've been using the media too. Anything I do, hey, look, I bet you when you beat ass, right? Like, say if you're into a girl, you beat ass, it's a problem. You know, I put out like, yeah, I went to a job to tell on her because she used to clock out of work. I don't know what the fuck they used to do, come fuck my shit up. And that's the right thing you're supposed to do, try to get help. And they even bash me for that. Oh, you going to a job and doing this? Yeah, I'm tired of it. Fuck me up. That ain't good. Stop
when she hands up or smash that up.
Stop letting her clock. I mean, act like she about to take a break and come over and smash my shit up. Cause she worked close to my house. Like, stop that. And they talking about that's wrong. They just Nobody about to keep going through that shit. She probably knew I was soft though, man. You know, I ain't used to be on that. She used to go crazy. I used to try to get the fuck out of there. Man, she used to be on Demon Town. I love her though, man. Miss her, but they got me looking like I'm a man. That shit. That shit ain't even cool, man.
On April 1st, the state may introduce prior bad acts or social media threats as evidence of a toxic climate that was intentionally escalated to justify a self-defense shooting. This is the social media trap. If you post a threat on Monday and claim self-defense on Tuesday, the law sees a predator, not a victim. This brings us to the silent witnesses, the other parents at the South Loop school. Sources close to the investigation suggest that several witnesses who were initially too terrified to speak have come forward after seeing the community's massive Pink for Romeca movement. These witnesses are reportedly describing a cold coordination between the two suspects. They describe a scene where no words were exchanged because the plan was already understood. One witness allegedly described Carlos Smith's face as expressionless while he held Romeca, a detail that completely shatters the idea of a heat-of-the-moment fight. On April 1st, we will see if these shadow witnesses are added to the official trial list. As we approach the final hours of the April 1st countdown, the stakes couldn't be higher for the Chicago legal system. This is not just about one murder. It is about whether a two-person hit can be masked as a one-woman defense. If the qualified protective order reveals that Romeca was physically incapacitated by a second party, the entire secret society structure begins to crumble. The April 1st hearing is the beginning of the end for the secrets. It's the day the cold trail turns into a roadmap to a jail cell. Make sure you share this investigation on your community tabs and Facebook groups. The more people who understand the accountability law, the harder it is for the system to let an accomplice walk free. What piece of evidence do you think will be the smoking gun on April 1st? The medical records or the deleted text messages? Let us know in the comments and keep the name Romeca Meeks-Blackmon alive. To truly understand the weight of the April 1st countdown, we have to look at the psychological warfare that has been playing out in the public eye since that tragic morning in the South Loop. This is not just a legal battle. It is a battle for the truth in an era where social media can be used to mask a predator as a victim. At Cold Trail Crime, we've been digging into the digital breadcrumbs left behind by the so-called secret society, and what we're finding suggests that the September 8 shooting was merely the closing chapter of a much longer, darker book. Rumors have been circulating about a series of planning meetings held in private group chats, encrypted messages where the participants discussed neutralizing the threat. If these messages exist, and if the prosecution presents them on April 1st, the self-defense narrative will not just lean, it will shatter. Imagine the jury seeing a time-stamped message from hours before the school drop-off, discussing the very weapon that ended Romeca's life. This is the difference between a heated argument and a calculated hit. If you believe that digital forensics should be the key to locking up every person involved in this plot, subscribe to Cold Trail Crime right now. We are the only channel tracking the forensic timeline of the Romeca Meeks case with this level of detail. Furthermore, we have to address the financial link. In many secret society theories, money is the ultimate motive. Was there a life insurance policy? Was there a dispute over child support or shared assets that made Romeca a financial liability? On April 1st, we expect to hear if the state has subpoenaed bank records to see if any large sums of money moved between the associates in the days following the murder. A fist bump is a sign of a job well done, but a bank transfer is the proof of a contract. This is why the qualified protective order for the medical records is so genius. It's the prosecution's way of pinning Carlos Smith to the scene physically, while the financial records pin him to the motive. And let us talk about the code of silence. In these close-knit secret societies, members are often bound by a pact to never snitch. But as the April 1st hearing approaches, the pressure is mounting. Quadajah Holly Johnson is currently in a jail cell facing life, while reportedly carrying a child. Will she stay silent for a man who is currently walking free? Or will the April 1st hearing be the moment she realizes she's been left to take the fall alone? True crime history shows us that when the principal starts to feel the walls closing in, they often flip on the accomplice. If Holly talks, the cold trail leads directly to Carlos Smith's front door.
I would never tell random people that my baby daddy cheated on me our whole relationship, my whole pregnancy, that he cheated on me. I would never, you could never get me to tell no shit like that to no random people that I don't fucking know. I would never want to have a job to where I'm wiping old people's ass and giving old people showers and feeding them and shit. I would never want to have a job like that. I would never want to have a job that my car was in the shop for 2 years. I couldn't get it out. I would never want to have a job like that. I'm wiping ass and I ain't got no car still. I would never want no job like that. I would never want to be with a nigga that done got so many bitches pregnant during the time that I've known him. I would never want to be with a nigga like that. I would never want to be with a nigga that done play in my face for damn near 10 years. I would never want to be with a nigga like that. I'm getting me a new nigga ASAP. I would never have a big ass birthday party and have to catch a ride to my birthday party because I don't have a car.
As we move into the final hours of this countdown, remember that your engagement is what keeps this case in the spotlight. The more you like, share, and comment, the harder it is for the secret society to hide in the shadows. We are building a digital dossier here at Cold Trail Crime, and we need your voice. Are we looking at a domestic tragedy, or is this the most sophisticated setup in recent Chicago history? The medical records will tell us about the struggle, the digital pings will tell us about the plan, and April 1st will tell us if the system is ready to deliver justice for Romeca. Click the notification bell so you are the first to know when the April 1st gavel drops. We will be here, dissecting every word of the testimony. For Romeca, for her children, and for the truth, the trail ends here. We will see you at the next update.